Time to sort out the problems of the world with Gemma Tonyuni from GT Communications here on the desk with me. G'day, Gemma.
Hello,
and
mate.
Katie Wolf joining us from Darwin, where she hosts Mixed Mornings in the Great Northern Territory. Great to talk to you again, Katie. Let's start off with Albo and his tax cuts. News poll today. He would have loved it. The Labor Party would have loved it. Unsurprisingly, nearly 2/3 of people like the tax cuts. Disregarding the fact, Katie, that it's a broken promise, just appreciating the fact that for most people it's a few extra bucks in the pocket.
Well, how many times have we spoken on this show about cost of living and the major impact that it's having on so many Australians? So I'm not surprised that it's been viewed in a positive light by a lot of Aussies. I guess the interesting part of that news poll, though, is that it hasn't really changed the popularity of the government, despite the fact that they're giving a large majority of Australians a tax cut. Because I think that people can sort of see that these promises, well, they're exactly that, you know, a bit of a promise where you're getting something, but you're also going, well, hang on a sec, I might be getting some extra money here through my taxes, but where is it going to be taken away from down the track? How are we going to pay for it eventually?
It is our money, after all. Before I get your thoughts, Gemma, I just want to show you how Anthony Albanese has characterised his decision on the tax cuts today.
What we have done here is put people before politics, been prepared to make a difficult decision, had the courage of our convictions to advance the case for it.
Oh, you've got to love that. A tough decision, not political.
I mean, the electorate of Dunkley says hello, doesn't it? I mean, gosh, does he take us for absolute fools?
I think he must do. He's taken us for mugs.
I think the issue here is twofold at least, possibly threefold, but we'll go with two. This tax, whatever tax cut is given, and to whoever receives it, it will not be long before it's taken up in bracket creep. It's going to disappear like hot water on a pavement on a summer's day in Perth. That's the first thing. The second thing is there is no reform taking place here. This is not a reforming move. This is a reactionary move, very much polling driven. This is a frightened government struggling to cut through on a range of issues because it doesn't have a clue what its electorate is asking for. And I think also very disconnected from reality. I just don't see this. I mean, the poll itself, it said that people, majority of voters said they did the right thing, but there was no bounce in his popularity.
No. It was a very fair question from News Poll, I thought, because they really detailed how most of you are going to be better off. Do you support this? So it was a pretty obvious result, I suppose. Katie, I pointed out at the top of the program, though, that in Senate estimates today, the cost of living inquiry, the Senate inquiry there, Treasury had to admit, this is quite startling in my view, they agree that over the next 3 to 4 years, under the Labor plan, there'll be a bit less money going to government. In other words, taxpayers keeping a bit more of their money. But after 3 or 4 years, it flips the other way. The government's going to be getting more money. So over a decade, the government's getting more of our money out of these tax cuts than we're getting. So that, hardly a tax cut plan, is it?
This is the thing. Well, that's exactly right. And this is the thing, whenever there is a big announcement like this, whenever there is a real sort of sugar hit, for want of a better word, you do start to wonder, for those of us that have been observing politics for a long time, you do start to wonder when we're going to feel that hit and in what way, what's going to be cut down the track, or what impact is it going to have down the track. And there is no doubt that right now Australians are screaming out for help when it comes to cost of living. But this will make a difference by the sounds of it for quite a large majority of Aussies for a small amount of time. Has it really helped the Albanese government in terms of bouncing back in terms of popularity? Doesn't look that way. And only time will tell whether it's going to hit us in any other ways down the track.
Well, it's about $15 a week. So come July the 1st, when you get this tax cut, if you have 15 beers a week, you'll be all square. Your tax cut will pay for the excise increase. Now, on this next one, I can't wait to hear from you, Gemma, because you are our resident electric vehicle expert. I talked at the top of the program how the government's going with this emissions reduction plan, and they're going to try and force us essentially into hybrids and electric cars. Here's Chris Bowen spruiking it.
So this is a win for cost of living, a win for consumers. It's a win for the environment. Obviously, a more fuel-efficient vehicle is better for the climate. and our preferred model delivers 100 million tonnes less carbon in the air by 2035.
So many winners, Gemma.
He's
Now, you were lured into an electric vehicle
I was suckered.
And what do you reckon, the idea of pushing more people into electric vehicles? Is it winning for you yet?
Well, no, okay, so Mr. Bowen will be very curious to know, as I shared this information with you last week. So your car, your electric vehicle will tell you how much you've saved.
Yes.
Cost of power versus cost of fueling your car. I've owned that car for almost a year, and the staggering amount of $60 it has saved me. 60. And can I just tell, to remind our viewers that the last significant charging event, I spent 50 minutes, and this is not an exaggeration, waiting for a charging station to become free, and then another 45 minutes charging my car. And I can tell you that the cost to me was significantly more than $60. Mr. Bowen, with the greatest of respect, is frighteningly illiterate on this. And the other thing that everyone who wants to spruik green energy, and don't get me wrong, I think the energy mix needs to be exactly that, a mix. But the fact about electric cars like mine, they're not green. If you want to break down the amount of fossil fuel required to produce one Tesla, it's terrifying. Add to that the conditions that those fossil fuels and those base materials are mined would not be legal in this country. So let's not greenwash our morality with the blood of other people's children.
And disposing of the battery afterwards.
100%. And the infrastructure's just not there. It's not there.
I shudder to think how many Territorians are chafing at the bit to get into electric SUVs, Katie.
Well, can I tell you, the most popular cars purchased last year were the Land Cruiser and the Hilux. So right now in the Northern Territory, most people are driving their big vehicles. But, you know, the thing is, what's it going to be like for the likes of tradies that are doing remote work, not just here in the Northern Territory, but in regional parts of Australia where they're going out to remote areas with all of their equipment, able to go and build houses and do things in remote locations. In addition to that, we really do not have the infrastructure. If you want to drive from Darwin to Katherine, you're going to be lucky if your vehicle can get you there. So before the government goes ahead and makes all these announcements and talks about how wonderful it's going to be, and yes, it's a step in the right direction, but let's make sure the infrastructure is actually in place in regional Australia, because a lot of regional Australians are getting around in their Land Cruisers and their Hiluxes right now. And
they might want to check
away from them, they're not going to be happy.
They might want to check west of the Nepean. I've just got to get your thoughts quickly on something. I know I have some strong views on some things. I'm not allowed to have a view on this issue. But I go to the beach every day, and anyone who goes to the beach often, you'll notice that bikinis are getting very, very small, basically G-string bikinis. And there's a community leader, a very prominent community leader on the Gold Coast, who has written to the mayor saying they've got to ban G-string bikinis because too many people are getting distracted. It looks a little bit unsettling, and even drivers might be crashing on the streets of the Gold Coast. Quickly from each of you, do you think the G-string bikini should be banned?
Listen, and I'm not saying this is an invested end user because I don't have one. I don't think the world's ready to see my kulu. But no, heck no. Let's get out of people's bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens and wardrobes, shall we?
What do you reckon, Katie? Is this going to take off, banning bikinis on Australian beaches?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I reckon up until my late 20s, I still wore a Brazilian cut bikini, not a G-string, but definitely a very brief bikini. And I would have been pretty annoyed if someone told me I couldn't.
Well, you can bring photos in next time, Katie. I tell you what, it sounds like we're harking back to the 1800s in Australia. But while I don't have a view on this, you know I'm against nanny state laws, so I'll try and be consistent with that. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, Gemma Tognini and Katie Wolf. You can listen to Katie on Mix FM in Darwin.